thrown into this lion's den and you're just like, survive. Hey guys, welcome back. If you are new here, click the subscribe button. And also if you are new here, hi, hello, my name is Kayla. I am going to sit down with you guys and kind of do like a little bit of a gallbladder update. So if you are new here, I was diagnosed with gallstones in March before I got pregnant, and I was actually going to get my gallbladder out in July, but I ended up pregnant in June. So grab yourselves a glass of coffee or whatever and just sit down with me today because I am sick, and so I am not wanting to really do anything, but I need to film a video for you guys. But so if you guys are not aware, I have had many gallbladder attacks. Some that lasted 12 hours, some that lasted 24 hours, some that lasted like 20 minutes. I've probably had 40 or so attacks since March. I want to say I about had 1 to 2 a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. It just kind of all depended, but I am kind of here to tell you an update and like just what it's been like during my pregnancy and how it has really been and affected my life, and kind of some questions that you guys have asked me. So I'm gonna jump right into this. So a little bit of a backstory. In March, I was diagnosed with gallstones after I had a 12-hour attack. We went to urgent care that night. Also, a little bit of a backstory on that. I did not have insurance at the time, so I could not afford to have the 10 to 20 grand surgery out of pocket. So, I mean, who can really afford to 10 to 20 grand, especially when you're a 21-year-old? So I had actually had like some gallbladder pain. I had no idea that it was gallbladder pain at the time for about a month and a half before I actually had my very first attack that led me to going to the urgent care and then the hospital to get an ultrasound on my gallbladder and knowing that it's gallstones. So also, if you are not aware, pregnancy does bring out gallstones, and that's actually what they think my gallstones were caused from, is my first pregnancy. So it's not rare to have gallstones and have your gallbladder react after you've had a baby. It's just kind of all of this stuff that happens during pregnancy that causes that. But I want to kind of go over a couple questions that I've gotten from you guys and kind of do like an update, because it has been about 6 months now, almost to the day since I got diagnosed. So it has been 6 months, and I have known that I am pregnant. I am 20 weeks pregnant tomorrow with my second child. So I've known that I was pregnant for 3 months, almost 4 months now. So I found out on June 7th that I was pregnant. I had 2 attacks from the moment that I found out that I was pregnant to when I was 6 weeks. So actually when I was 6 weeks was my last attack. So that's very rare to say, because obviously I already had pre-existing gallstones before I got pregnant. And usually when you're pregnant, it actually brings it out and brings on more attacks and all of that type of stuff. But it didn't with me. And I remember the last time I had an attack was at 6 weeks. And it was a pretty bad one. I was literally just sitting there on the toilet because if you are unaware, your body does have to flush that out either way. It either goes out one end or out the other. So it has happened to me on both sides multiple times. So when I was having that last attack, I remember just praying to God. Like, I'm not going to bring religion into this. If you guys don't believe in religion, that is totally fine. But this exact moment was where I actually started to believe again. For many years when I was growing up, I didn't believe in God because of some things that had happened in my childhood. And I literally remember during this last attack saying, God, just please make it stop. Please make it stop. Please make it stop. And it was like a light switch. It was like it immediately stopped, which doesn't ever happen. And usually once my gallbladder attack stops, my gallbladder feels like a huge basketball. It feels so swollen, and it is, but it still aches for hours and hours and hours after I have an attack, especially if I have a really long attack or a bad attack. So it was like in that moment, it just completely stopped. And I said, God, please make it stop, probably about 10 times. And then it just like flips like a light switch, and that doesn't ever happen, like I just said. And I have not had an attack since. It has almost been 3 months. Actually, it has been 3 months. We just passed the 3-month mark of me not having an attack, which is absolutely insane. I have been eating a lot more fat lately, and it just kind of makes me emotional because like I didn't ever think that I wouldn't have an attack ever again, because when you do have attacks so frequently, you can actually get sepsis from having a gallbladder in there that's just rupturing, essentially. It is not fun. It is very, very, very painful, and I've gotten so many people saying, well, you're eating fat. You must not have gallstones. What else have you lied about? I am not lying about my gallstones. Why would I lie about that? Why would I fake something like that? Like, I didn't even know what gallstones were, to be honest with you, when I was diagnosed with them. I had done a lot of research since then. So what happens is when you eat fat, your gallbladder creates bile, and it releases bile to break down that fat a lot easier so your body can just do its normal systems. When you have gallstones, what happens is your bile releases when you eat fat, and sometimes a gallstone actually gets stuck in the duct, and that is what causes an attack. So also, not having a lot of bile can also cause an attack. So when you do have gallstones, you have less bile. So actually what causes gallstones is cholesterol and fat. So my diet wasn't healthy before, so like it's not all on me though. Sorry, I just got a call from someone I had no idea who was, but I have no idea where I was in this story. But it also is hereditary, so you can get gallstones if you eat super, super healthy. I have met many, many, many people who are vegetarians or vegans, and they're like, I have gallstones, and like I eat a pretty healthy diet, but it runs in my family. And so that's totally normal, but obviously your diet contributes to that as well. So it's a lot of stuff that goes into it. It's not your fault if you do get them, because I've met so many people, like I just said, that eat super, super healthy and they still end up getting them. So it's not really what you eat. I know so many people think that that's how it is, and they're like, well, if you just eat healthy, maybe that wouldn't happen. Well, it does, you know. It's not like you're just eating tons and tons and tons of fat. Like, I know so many people who are super unhealthy and they never come across this. Or like my mother-in-law, who actually has gallstones as well, and she's only had 2 attacks in 15 years. She gets super well, but she still eats fat and never has an attack. So it's just one of those things that's like really hard to kind of comprehend, and I totally get where people are coming from, because I had no idea what gallstones even were when I was diagnosed with it. So it is definitely something to do your research on, and if you ever come across having gallstones, you know that my social media is always open. So that is on to that. Now I'm going to answer some of your guys' questions, as I am now 6 months into this and all of that. So one question that I get asked over and over and over again is, how has my diet changed since becoming pregnant? Like I said, your gallstones can occur from pregnancy, and pregnancy can actually make your gallstones worse. In my case, which is very, very rare, I have not had an attack in 3 months, like I told you guys. I want to say it was June 16th was the last day I had an attack, and today is September 25th. So we just passed 3 months of not having an attack, which is absolutely insane. But like I said, I had had an attack pretty much every single week since being diagnosed, and I had cut out meat completely, and I was strictly on cereal and bread because that was my safe options, because every single time I would venture out of those food groups, it would cause an attack, no matter if it was eggs. There are certain things that were a trigger for me before getting pregnant that aren't now, which is so crazy. So it has changed for the better during my pregnancy, which is very, very rare, to be honest, because like I said, you do get gallstones from being pregnant, and it can actually make your pre-existing gallstones even worse. And there are so many people who have emergency surgeries right after having a baby because it causes their gallbladder to kind of react, because they're releasing all of this stuff and you just gave birth, like you just had trauma done to your body. So I'm guaranteeing I'm gonna be that same way. I am actually going to get it out after the baby is born, so hopefully that works. But yeah, so another thing that I always get asked is, can I eat meat at all? So before I got pregnant, I could not eat meat whatsoever at all. It was strictly cereal and bread. Now that I have gotten pregnant, I am not really limited to a lot of things. So that's very, very rare. Like I said, I used to be limited to everything. Like I couldn't eat anything. There were certain foods that like I just couldn't eat at all. And that was really, really hard for me. It was like a dramatic change to my body that was very mentally tolling. And that is actually why I took a big long break this year, because my mental health was just not good. My mental health was in just a very, very bad place. And it wasn't like I was like depressed or suicidal. It was a lot to take in at once, because go from eating all of these normal food groups to only being limited to 2 things a day is really, really, really hard, especially when you crave those things and your body needs those things. Like your body needs meat. Your body needs all of those nutrients and protein and all of that type of stuff that you get from fat. And it's just really kind of hard to kind of comprehend once you've been diagnosed with gallstones. It's just really hard. So another thing that I get asked is, what do I miss the most about food? So definitely the number one thing that I miss the most is cheeseburgers. I am an absolute cheeseburger freak. I love eating cheeseburgers. They are like the shit for me. But I just miss the meat aspect of everything. Like I am never gonna be a vegetarian. I'm never gonna be a vegan. I'm sorry if that offends you, but I love meat. But I just miss the meat aspect of my diet. And during this pregnancy, I've noticed that I've been craving meat, and it's because it's what my body needs, and I know that. So another thing onto the cheeseburgers is I can still not eat them. So like I've said, I can eat mostly anything now. Once I get a little bit bigger into my pregnancy, that might change, because my uterus might rub up against my gallbladder and just kind of make it very sore and whatnot, or I might just develop even more gallstones or have more gallbladder attacks. I have no idea how this pregnancy is going to pan out, and that's kind of what's scary, is the unknown of everything, because obviously you're kind of thrown into this lion's den and you're just like, survive. I can no longer eat cheeseburgers. So I actually had a very, very, very bad attack for the first, I want to say it was like 4 weeks after I got diagnosed. I ate a cheeseburger thinking that it would be totally fine, and that if I just had an attack it would be fine, blah blah blah. No.